Hello, my name is Raymond and I'm here to present to you a card game called Royal Execution. It's a single player card game that you play with a normal deck of 52 playing cards along with any jokers that you might have. I'm going to quickly clean this up so I can show you how it is set up, and in the meantime I want to give a quick disclaimer that this isn't entirely my original idea. This is based on a card game made by Mark from the YouTube channel Riffle, Shuffle, and Roll. And he made a card game called Clear the Dungeon, which this is based on. Alright, so with that out of the way, it's called Royal Execution because you will be executing royals. So in order to do that, let's quickly separate them from the deck. So as I'm doing this, you might notice that I'm playing with Dutch playing cards, which means that the letters on these might confuse you. The B is a jack, the V stands for a queen, and the H stands for a king. That's just because these are Dutch cards. Hopefully that won't be too confusing. And that should be all. So now that we have all the royals in place, let's quickly shuffle them and form 3 rows with them. All of these are played face down, except for the last 3. So there we go. These are the royals that we are going to execute. The leftover cards are your draw pile, so you will shuffle this one as well. And then we're going to do one extra thing before we start, which is we're going to pull out 9 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to rotate them 90 degrees. As you saw, I grabbed them from the bottom. Going to rotate them 90 degrees and then place them down and put the rest of the pile on top of it. I will explain why later, but with that, I believe we are fully set up. Cool, so this is how you start Royal Execution, and every time that you take a turn, you draw 3 cards from the draw pile, and you place them face upwards in front of you. So this is now my hand that I can play. Once I've played all 3, I have to first play all 3 of them, and then I could grab a new set of 3 cards. So what can you do with these? How can you play them? So there's 2 things you can do with them. You can either play them on the royals to try and defeat them, or you can discard them. And there's going to be a discard pile over here, and you can discard it either to the top of the discard pile or to the bottom, so slide it underneath what's there. But obviously, as we've just started, there's no discard pile just yet. So instead, I'm going to start by explaining how you can defeat royals. So I've actually put some small cards over here to make sure that I have the right cards to explain this next bit. So the way that you defeat royals is by playing 3 cards on them, and they have to be the right cards to defeat them. The first 2 cards that you play on a royal have to be the same point value as the royal or higher. Now, the point value of the royals is pretty straightforward. The jack is 11, so it counts up from 10. The jack is 11, the queen is 12, and the king is 13. So in order to defeat a jack, the first 2 cards that I lay on them have to be 11 or higher. So I can, for example, lay down a 6 and a 5, that would be 11, or I could lay down a 9 and a 4, which is 13, so that's quite a bit more, but it's fine, it's the same number or higher. So these don't need to be the same suit or related to the suit of the royal at all. They just have to be high enough values. Basically, for these first 2 cards, the only thing that matters is the value. The third card is a little bit more, has a little bit more restrictions. So the third card needs to be the suit of the royal, and this third card basically acts as like the trigger card for the other 2. And on top of having to be the suit of the royal, they also have to be higher than at least one of the other cards that you used in this combination. So in this case, it would need to be, I forgot what that is called in English, diamonds, there we go. It needs to be a 5 of diamonds or higher in order to be this third card and trigger this combination. So in this case, a 9 of diamonds would be higher than a 4, and it is the right suit, so that could be played over there. Awesome. Now, once you've defeated, once you've actually executed one of these royals, you can choose a card from these three that you've just played in this combination, to go to the discard pile, which again, we're going to explain a little bit. The rest of these are all going to go, so let's say I choose the 9, the last one that I just played, choose this one to go into the discard pile. The rest of them go into the graveyard, which is basically an alternate discard pile that will contain cards that will never again be present in this game. The card that you chose to go to the discard pile goes into the same discard pile that you would normally discard cards to from your hand. And that means that in this case you can also discard it to the top or the bottom of it. So imagine that this is the discard pile. I get to choose whether I want to put it on top or whether I want to put it on the bottom. And the reason that you have this choice is because these cards are not out of the game. At any point you can play the top card of the discard pile, and that means that if you've just used a card that you actually want to use again, you can choose that one to be the discarded one, and then you can immediately play it to take out something else, or in this case a 9 is a nice and high card. You could play it on the royal, on one of the kind of royals that don't have any cards on them yet, to start off a new combination. So I went a little bit too fast here. Once you've defeated a royal and you've selected your card and everything, you flip the royal that was underneath it, so you see what the next royal is that you will have to defeat, and that is how you will continue with that. Those are the normal rules. However, there are 2 more cards that, if you were paying attention to the cards that I removed that consist of the royals, that are still in the deck, that are not just these normal number cards, which are the jokers and aces. Now, both of these are a little bit special cards. Jokers can be played as any suit and any value between 2 and 10, also including 2 and 10. So jokers are really great cards to basically get you out of any tight situation. So they can be a really great trigger card, or they can be a really useful way to get a high number in your combination, or a really low one. The ace is a little bit, is not as powerful as the joker. The ace normally just counts as a 1, and it just counts as its own suit. However, it can be used as a trigger card regardless of the value. So basically as the third card. That means that this ace could trigger this a royal with the same suit, as long as it is a diamond. Regardless of, for example, it might be these 2 cards that are laying on it. Normally, if I had any normal number card, it would need to be a 7 of diamonds or higher, which is already pretty high, but an ace can be placed as a third card as long as the suit matches. So that's why the ace can be pretty powerful as well in clearing off royals. Now, one thing about these special cards is that you cannot retrieve them into your discard pile. This is, you can only grab the normal number cards to get them into your, get them into your discard pile, and then the aces and the jokers can kind of only be played once. So theoretically, you could play just 2 aces and a joker, and then you would not get any cards back. So it would be impressive, but it would also be useless. Cool. All right. So we have just played. We have just gone through all of the rules. So now I'm just going to play the actual game with the cards that I was using earlier. So I'm just gonna play this and talk through my thought process as I'm going along it. So the 7's pretty good. 7's pretty high. I can play it on the king, but that means, so the king is 13, so that means I would need a 6 in order to have the right amount of value to defeat the king, which is a bit high. So I'm going to play it on this one over here. I'm going to play it on the jack. And then I'm just going to play this one on it as well. A 3 is a pretty difficult to use card. So I think I'm just going to discard it for now. Which is a little bit tricky because that means that I'll have a card that I'll likely not be able to use for a while. But I'm just going to do that. Then my turn is over because I've played my 3 cards and I get new ones. Okay, cool. I've got an ace. Problem is I probably won't be using that just yet. That's a shame. So if this would have been a lower number, if this would have been a 4, I could now play this one, but I cannot because it is just a bit too... the 5 is too high. So I'm going to just play these over here. I'm going to play the 5 over here and the 4 over here. Now this is a bit tricky because that means that the only cards that have a high enough value for this to be able to have the same number as the king or higher would be a 9 or a 10. But I've just started, so theoretically there's still plenty of this in the game. And then I'm going to discard this one. So now if I have any very low cards that I will probably not be able to use for a while, I probably want to put them underneath here so that I don't lose access to that ace over there. But we'll have to see. Cool, alright, so we've got ourselves a 9, which is exactly what I wanted here. We could also use it to trigger this, but I've also got this 7, which we can also use to trigger that, so I'm just going to go for that. Alright, so this 7 is the same suit as the jack over there. Both are of hearts, and it is higher than the 5, so that means it's higher than at least one of the 2 over here. So I'm going to take out this jack. And which one of these cards do I want? I can use the 7 again to use as a trigger for this one as well. So I'm just going to put the 7 on my discard pile over here. And these are going to go into the graveyard. And now that I've done this, I can rotate this card around and see what it is. Cool. Not going to place that on here because I'm just going to place this on here. Use it as a trigger card again. And then now that we've placed this, I'm going to take the 9 actually, because now I've got a nice and high card. So these are going back into these are going into the graveyard. This is going to go on the discard pile, and I'm going to see what's up next. Alright. Oh, so what I can do now is I can play this 9 over here, and then I can play this 4, which means that I've been able to use this 4, and that means I can play 5 or higher there. Nice. Alright, so 3 new cards. Oh my god, I'm getting my aces very fast in this game. So I can already use the ace for that. Normally I might want to try and save my aces for later, because a 5 or higher is not that difficult to get. But since these are my only options, I'm afraid that otherwise I'm just going to bury my aces over there. So I'm just going to play this. And then I'm just retrieving the 9 again, so I'm going to put the 9 on top of there. You in the discard, and then you get to see what this is. It is a queen. And alright, I'm going to play the 9 over here. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Alright, so I've played the 9 over here, and now I can use this ace that I was still saving up. So I can use this ace on the king. I think I'm going to keep this 9 around. I think I'm going to keep it flying about. Alright, getting rid of some more royals. Where should I put it? So I can put the 9 on the... yeah, I think I'll put the 9 on the... Oh no, okay, sorry. Thinking a bit much. So I'll put the 9 on the queen over here, because that means I can actually use this 3. And I've cleared my discard pile, which the reason that I like to keep as low of a discard pile as possible, in this case I completely empty my discard pile, is because that means any card that I discard, I have a very good chance of using it again, and there's basically no chance of it getting buried behind all the other cards. And it also means that I'm using all of my cards. So it means that I'm not running out of cards because I've used all of them to take out some of the royals. So this 2, you know what, I just realized that might have not actually been that smart, because, you know, a 3 is difficult to use, but a 2 is even more difficult to use. So I'll put the 2 in there, and I will put the ace on top of it. And then we'll go for 3 more cards. 6 I can use as a trigger for that, so I'm just going to do that. And then I will again keep the 9, I think. Yeah, the 9 is saving me. I guess I've not had that many very high cards. So right, so now I've buried the 2 underneath the ace, so I could have used this in combination with the... Oh, sorry, I've got to flip this one first. Alright, so I'm just going to do kind of the same maneuver, except now I've also got this 6, which you can use to take this out. Because, yeah, 12, take that one out, 6 is higher than this 3. There we go, keeping the 9 around. That one's empty, so no need for that anymore. So I could just play the 9 right now, but I'm just going to take my next turn and see what I get, because if I would have gotten something... so that one is 13, so I could play this, the 9 and the 3. Yeah, I'll play the 9 and the 3. Sorry, the 9 and the 4, which makes it 13. So I can play this one on top of it. I'm just going to do it. Alright, I'll play that one on top of it. Again, pick the 9. Gonna pick this one, and gonna use the 2. Great, so now I've actually been able to use the 2. Can play that one. Take out the 9. Discard it again. Right, so this is... I guess this is fine. I'll just play the 8 on one of the queens. I don't really need to worry too much because it's pretty high, so I can play a fairly low one. Ooh, first joker. Cool. Oh, now we're getting the high cards. All right, that's actually somewhat tricky. Because if there are too many high cards, then it's going to be difficult to actually go over them. So I'll play the 10 over here. I'll play the... Yeah, I guess I'll play the 8 over here and then play the 9 on top of it, as like 2 8s is very high. It's quite overkill. But since I have this 9 laying around anyway, I can use it. So at this point, I actually kind of want lower cards because I'm just getting quite some high cards. I can keep that 10 around. So I'm just going to discard this 8. And goodbye 9, you served me very well. And I've got this joker now, but I'm not entirely sure yet if I want to use it now. Because it's obviously it's a really great trump card if I want to get out of a tight spot. So... I told you I would talk about... Oh, there's some loud traffic outside. I told you I would talk about the why we separated these 9 cards here in the beginning. And the reason is that otherwise it's a little bit hard to keep track of how far down into the deck you are. And separating these 9 cards means that now we get to see that we're like maybe 2-3 turns away, I guess probably 3 turns away, from hitting those 9, and those are like the signifier for basically the last 3 turns. So it's mostly just to both up the tension once you start approaching it and give you a bit of an indication of how many cards you have left. Right, yeah, so as I said, I've got a lot of really high cards. I'm just going to play these because I don't want to bury the joker, of course. And another joker, awesome. Okay, cool, so I can play this 10 on here. Oop, give me my cards. Right, what am I going to keep? Alright, I'm going to keep the 10 because I can play it on whatever that is, and then I can probably play the 2. It's not a king? It's not a king. Cool. Alright, so I can play this one and this one. And honestly, like I've got a really nice final situation, which is that I can play both of these jokers as the trigger cards. So I'm just going to play this one as, I guess, 3 of diamonds, which gets this one beat up. Put the 10 back in there. And then I'm going to play this one as a 7 of clubs. And that's it. I have now successfully defeated, I'm going to put the 10 back there. Successfully defeated all of the royals. They have been executed by all of these cards that I've been throwing at them. And that is Royal Execution. Thank you very much for coming to check out this game here on YouTube. I should have probably thought of what I'm going to say here, but definitely do check out Mark's channel. He's the guy that came up with the game that this is based on, which was Clear the Dungeon, which you can find on his channel. It is called Riffle, Shuffle, and Roll. So definitely check that out, and maybe check out my other card game that I made earlier called Joker Jailbreak, which I still think is pretty cool. And check out any other stuff I've been making. All right, thank you very much for watching, and see you around. Hello again. I rushed the outro a little bit there, and I forgot to mention something. So first off, I just played it again, and can use that to explain what I missed. So these are the cards still in my draw pile, and these are the cards in my hand. Those added together, those would be my score if you want any kind of scoring system. So basically all of the cards that you've never played, that you didn't have to touch to complete this game, those added together would be your score. If you would play in the way that I described it just now, and you have 2 jokers in your game, then 17 cards is the maximum score that you could theoretically have. That's obviously a theoretical maximum. That's if everything aligns just right. So if you manage to not touch those last 9 cards, that's already quite an achievement. If, however, it feels a little bit too easy for you, I just played another version of the game where I removed the aces and jokers. And that means that instead of a maximum amount of cards left that you could have being 17, you could only have 11 cards left in the end. And because you don't have these kind of like get out of a tough situation cards, it becomes a lot more tense. And I think it's quite a nice harder version if you've gotten used to the normal version I was talking about with the aces and the jokers and everything. So those are kind of a point system, and if you want to have a slightly more difficult version. Now something slightly different if you want to make your life a bit easier. As you can see, this is the graveyard over here, and I've separated the royals and the number cards over there. So if I'm doing this, obviously, if you're playing successive rounds of Royal Execution, it's going to be really nice if you have the royals separated every time. You don't have to do it at the end of the round, go through all of the cards and get rid of the royals again. So this way, whenever you defeat a royal, you just put the card that you want to put in the discard pile. The discard pile, put the royal onto the graveyard for royals, and then the 2 remaining number cards, you put those in the graveyard for number cards. So those were the things that I wanted to mention. Also quickly wanted to give you a sneak peek of that cardboard box, which I used to stabilize the camera. Sorry, I'm not stabilizing it now. I hope that's not a problem. So yeah, that was everything. Those were the things, hopefully, that I wanted to say. And if you enjoyed the game, if you have any comments or suggestions on it, if you have any rules or any modifiers that you think could be cool, I would be very curious to hear it. I'm very eager to see what people think. So just let me know. And I think that was it. So thanks again for watching, and see you around. Bye.